Well, last month, the U.S. Health Department issued an advisory of children's screen time.
And with summer vacation about to start for many kids, some of them are going to likely be online this summer.
So joining us this morning with what we can expect out of the new guidelines and maybe some suggestions, Dr. Natalie Delgado. She's a psychologist from Kennedy Krieger. And first off, thank you so much for being with us.
Of course, thank you for having me.
You know, new guidelines.
Yes.
Kids don't pay attention to the old guidelines. So how do we, this is like it's like a vicious cycle. Tell us about the guidelines.
Sure. I think something parents should think about is trying to have a balance. So I think if parents try to think of them as a guideline, not like a hard, fast rule. So things can be on a spectrum, especially if parents have been more loose about like screen time use, and then all of a sudden they're going to restrict. So kind of trying to ease it on in, you're going to get a little bit more compliance from our teenagers and young kiddos.
Mm-hmm. And this is so important because it does impact the mental health of children. To what extent?
Yes, so it really depends on the age range. So especially for our teenagers, so there's a lot of social comparison, needing that social validation with the likes and who's commenting and what am I posting. So I think we want to be just cautious of that. Also seeing how fixated they are with like needing all those likes and everything. And then for our younger kiddos, I don't think we realize how much we're replacing human interaction with screen time. So little infant and like young kids' brains are still developing so much. And so we just want to make sure we're not replacing social skills or emotion regulation skills with putting a screen in front of them to help them regulate or learn these things.
You know, you can monitor a bit better when kids are home than you can when they go out. So parents, are there warning signs? Are there things that parents should look for that maybe give them some kind of an insight into what those kids are doing, maybe when they're not sitting in the living room where we can actually see them?
Right. So I think one thing obviously is that fixation, always wanting to go to their phone or asking or talking about it or any of their devices. Also noticing any changes in sleep, especially during summertime, if we don't have limits around that, if they're staying up late with gaming or on their devices. So sleep disturbances is definitely a big one. Changes in their mood or anxiety also. We have seen exacerbations in those symptoms as well.
So based on the different age groups, how much time on a device is too much time?
So I think the biggest thing that we look for is impairment in functioning and also the amount of distress associated with that. So if being on their like video games and they're screaming and yelling and there's a lot of distress, if there's a lot of frustration, because being on devices lowers our frustration tolerance. And again, thinking about impairment in functioning, are kids not interacting with their families? Are they not engaged during meal times or wanting to do other family activities or activities with their friends off their devices? So I think those are two things to look for.
Now, are there any tech boundaries that can help? You know, are the companies helping to keep the kids safe, or are the companies still trying to just kind of reel them in?
Because our phones do keep track of how much time we spend on them.
Definitely. I always get those reports. I'm not always proud of it myself. But yes, so I think what's wonderful is there's so many apps, or even with like the internet services for our phones, there are parent controls, the same way for our TVs. So if parents look into that, or again, if they reach out to any of their providers or even like parent groups, I've even learned from some of the parents that I work with that there are apps and things to kind of create restrictions, cut off times. My nieces aren't so happy about that. Dad cuts it off at 7 p.m. For them. But there's definitely, as much as technology feels like it's so open and accessible to everyone, there are some restrictions or limits that it can put and help parents to manage that.
Remember the days when you had to buy a certain amount of minutes?
Yes.
You had a plan and you couldn't go over that plan at certain times at night.
Or text messages.
Text messages,
right. Do not text me, okay?
See,
You're
exactly.
wasting a text message.
So where do we find more information about all this?
Sure. So on Kennedy Krieger, we actually have a handout on devices and electronics, but even, again, being able to look online to look at these new guidelines, we do have a handout out and available.
That's wonderful. Well, Dr. Delgado, thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
We just have to just get you to come in and talk to each one of our kids
don't worry.
one-on-one.
I'm available.
Thank you.
Good to know.
Thank you.